Welcome to the Middle Ground with JLE, where we treat you like family. That's the theme song, Detroit Love, off my first album, JLE Experience. Only music copyright, don't mute on Facebook. We got another amazing guest for you in this season 12 that's winding down. We have gospel author, creative writer, the right warrior, Dwight Thompson. Welcome to the show, sir.
Blessings, salutations, greetings.
Awesome. First question we start with, what led you to this path?
My life is a bomb with a 5-ring alarm. 1, 2, 3, contact. Do you bodily harm? Do you catch where I'm coming from? As your life signs go critical. Beep, beep, beep. My hidden agenda becomes visible, physical, lyrical. My mission statement, hit the pavement. If anybody asks, like FedEx, I was sent to leave a dent in this world like an impact crater. I see the truth for what it is, a baby shower. Act 3, Chapter 1, In a Sanctum, Protecting My Peace Through Poetry. What started this journey is being able to understand that the purpose that I have is not just for me alone. It's not just for me to write books and talk and just have a business. No, the purpose why we are all here is to help our fellow man, and man meaning any human being, any citizen of this world, be a better version of themselves. And that is how it started for me. From way back growing up in the islands, when my mom would read bedtime stories to me.
Okay.
She got me involved in understanding a world beyond this world. And they were usually from the Bible. So by the time I was 12 years old, I had read the entire Bible, King James Version, with the red font for Jesus's words from back to front. And then my father, he purchased the first encyclopedia. And those were a set of about 25 books, if you remember those from back in the day.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We had no social media. And it was two big bookshelves full of books. And whatever you want to know, you would go and grab them and read. So I read the entirety, all of them. And that led me to reading J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion, which is the precursor to Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, by the age of 13, 14.
Wow.
So from there, I began to enter competitions and writing. And fortunately, I was graced and blessed with teachers in high school, in middle school and primary school, as we call it, small school, who understood the value of self-expression of words. So they would always challenge us to write more, read the works of the Brathwaites and the Sana Sekus and the Maya Angelou's, the Derek Walcotts, understand what they're trying to say for their time period. Because, and this was one of the truths I found out, each writer and each poet, they exist for their time. So in 2024, I exist for you and for now.
And my mistake, I forgot you're a gospel poet.
All good.
Pretty dope. Now, you have an interesting name, the Right Warrior. How did you come by that?
Well, in 2020, when COVID happened, I went from having a decent government job, stability in the household, to having nothing. So illness, homelessness, job loss. And I found myself, besides being on the streets, but with my family, at the end of every day, having just a little bit of time, trying to catch my breath and put my mind right. And I started writing little memo notes into my phone. And over time, I realized that even with everything that has happened to me, it didn't happen to me. I was a part of the process. So I'm also part of the solution. And I was always militant in my ways. And people mistake the fact that Jesus is a savior of peace. He brings peace, but his methods are always unorthodox, right? and he's always number one, a preparer. He prepares you for your mission, for something bigger and better. And the reason why I chose the moniker, the Right Warrior, is in war, as you understand, you prepare for the war, but you pray for peace. And as the Bible says, to be as gentle as doves, but as wise as serpents. That's how we must operate. And I realized that for me, the path of poetry and penmanship and writing and organizing my affairs in my mind and my thoughts in my business and my goings and comings, it allowed me to structure and build a system. And from talking to other authors and other creatives and poets, I realized that they also were lacking sometimes this connection and the structure.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the Right Warrior part. And of course, as a poet, I don't know if you know, but historically, the poets were on the front lines of every conflict.
I never knew.
Yes, sir. We were the ones who historically, if two tribes were going to have a dispute over land or water rights or who should marry whom and who stole whose cattle, as the warriors would gather and face each other across a little green field, poet from each side would step out, and the poets will go verbally against each other, hurling insults and limericks and tirades and calling your mama this and saying you don't know how to boil an egg, and we would go at each other. But the main point was to prevent the conflict from escalating to loss of life. And so both sides would be cheering each other on. And eventually, the greater poet would win, the one who was a master of his craft, who did his research, who knew that the other poet's family member was once a slave, or perhaps he used to be king, but he lost the crown when he went to use the outdoor restroom. And this was what led to that poet winning because of his skill with words. The crisis was averted, and the winning side was the one who had the better writer and the better poet. And everyone was able to go back home to their families. And so all across all cultures, they could be called druids in the Irish Gaelic mythology. They could be called bards. They could be called prophets. The point is this poetry, this ability to encapsulate the situation with words and de-escalate, even to the point of understanding both sides. Okay, you want A and you want B. How can we make it become C so we can see eye to eye, pun intended, and have peace?
That's interesting to learn, because you think of a world without creatives writing books or poetry or music or anything, it'd be a very different world.
Correct. And even so, part of my philosophy and in my business brand too, we all are poets, right? We all have the poet within us and this ability to craft words. So for example, something as simple as writing a message down. And I'm sure we all did this before in primary school, where they would make a train and they would try to illustrate how stories are told and have one kid tell another kid something in his ear and have him tell the next kid and so on. And then you compare the messages from the beginning to the end of the train and see what was the end result. And most of the time it was hilarious. The teacher would tell the child, we are going to lunch at 12. And at the very end, the message comes across, apples on sale. And you have no idea how that happened, but that communication is important. And poetry and writing gives this ability to understand the words. If I write a message, you should be able to understand it. Your next door neighbor, my neighbor, should be able to understand. Whether or not there's a language barrier or a cultural difference, the ability to capture words and convey a message peacefully is our duty.
Now, how different is it to write poetry compared to writing a book?
So the poetry part is about divine inspiration and purpose. So when you write poems like I could do 20 poems in a month, specific topics, specific audiences, specific messages. However, when it comes to publishing a book, that's about systems and formatting. How do you want to represent those 20 poems? Do you want to have a picture with each poem? Do you want to have the poem written in a different font? Do you want to have it on a different page? And so it's two parts of a process. And we always say there is the writing part of it, there's the formatting part of it, there's the publishing part of it, and then there's the marketing part of it. Those four parts are what produces a story that's codified that other people can share. So for me, poetry has always been easy. And when I started to learn the publishing industry from talking to other authors and writers, which one is better, traditional or independent? I realized, well, I'm definitely going to be independent because I do want to keep all my rights, all my royalties. And when you look at it, the only advantage you get from a traditional publishing house is they have established distribution networks. But other than that, you're doing all the work yourself. You still have to post every day on social media 3 times a day.
Yep. Yeah.
Might as well. Yeah. And I have a simple parameter. I always say, if you want to write a book, and if you look at your phone contacts and you're like, I have 100 people guaranteed who would buy this book from me. No ifs, no buts, $20, $25, it don't matter. They'll buy that book. You can publish your book. Because that is your core right there.
Now look at it that way. That's dope knowledge right there. That's true. It's a lot of people. I mean, when I first published my first book, and my brother was telling me that you did something amazing, I didn't look at the big scope of it. So I'm like, okay, talk to me like I'm 2 man. What you mean? Like, hey, you got people, that's their dream. But
yes,
whatever family or people around them naysayer, they're hindered to even just start write down one word. I'm like, oh, dang, you put it like that. Wow.
Speak on it.
Wow.
And
it's amazing.
It's so tough that we are our own worst enemy, right? And in the Bible, it says, don't share what you plan to do with others unless they are in accord with you. Right? So unless they're committed and to your success and you are aware of that, then you share. But other than that, because it doesn't take much to derail your train of thought.
Oh man. We're gonna have church tonight. Man.
Oh, come on now.
Man.
It doesn't take much.
You ain't lying.
Derail your
I
train
like
of
that.
I
ain't asked you that.
It behooves us to quantify whoever we're working with, whoever we tell our hopes and dreams to, and ensure that they are on our side. And I've come to the point, I've asked people, listen, no offense intended, but are you on my side? Are you with me on this? I'm not telling you that there's an issue, but are you with me with what I'm trying to accomplish? If not, that's okay. Always have an exit strategy.
Yeah. And I've explained that to somebody before. And I don't get what you mean. Like, well, if you're really rocking with me, if I want to paint books purple and sell them, if you rock with me, for example, all right, what type of paint you want to get? That's what you should be saying. Not,
come on now.
I want to do that. That's weird. That ain't supporting me. That's not saying you're on my team.
Thank you.
Be, all right, what we going to do? What's first step?
Listen, I used to tell this joke back in the day before we got too PC. And I used to say, and this joke was from a book, so it's not my joke, but I loved it. Gotcha. If someone asks you, listen, I need you to wear lipstick today as a man, you're not going to say no or yes. You're going to just ask, what color? You know what I'm saying? Because the concept is, if you're committed, you're committed. And the questions you ask should be to further the progress of what we are working on. If you say jump, I'm going to ask you how high. I'm not going to ask you why or when or no. If I'm committed, I'm committed. Let's just get it. And that support sometimes is hard to find.
Man.
And when you find it, though, you got to hold on to it. And even then, you have to baby it somewhat, because if given to it too much, it might become too much of a need and a necessity. So you also have to balance the support that you get.
On creating this from out the mud and with God's help, I learned this journey might be a solo journey to a degree because everybody ain't gonna see what God showed you.
That part.
If you keep letting too many people into the circle to see it, well, it's too bright. He's speaking like that. It ain't gonna be, he told you to do that. All right, how can I assist? They not coming to that thought of point and preference. They just, well, let me give my take on it. No, I don't need your take.
No. Just
what
come
can
on.
You do to help me get there is what I said.
That's it. So we used to do something back in the day when the world was a safer place. We call it bumming a ride. Old Mr. Tumsy, where you were able to travel between cities, just get dressed.
Yeah, people did.
Go on the road, and just stick your thumb out. And sure enough, someone will stop. Where you going? Oh, I'm going into town. Oh, let's go. Hop in. Back of a truck or in a passenger seat. You know what I'm saying? So Uber and Lyft, they just stole that whole concept, but I digress. But that flexibility, that ability to just tap in was priceless, and we have lost, our society has lost some elements that made it work. Having that human connection for a brief moment. I don't know you, but I'm driving and I see you're heading in one direction. This is the main road. You're either going B or C. You only go in two spots. So I'll take you at least halfway there. It doesn't hurt nothing. Take anything from me. You hop in, drop you off in 5 minutes. Plain and simple. And that support.
Absolutely.
When you find it, you have to hold on to it, but you can't squeeze it too much.
Yeah, it's rare.
Yep.
I was just talking with my homeboy earlier. Like, I've been on this journey, and there have been times like, okay, well, you ain't making no money yet. You ain't where you wanted to be yet, but God did tell you to do this. Like, maybe you heard it wrong. And one of my older brothers would call, just like fired up like a Human Torch. Like, what's going on, man? You got the show coming on? Like, how you feeling? Like, where's the energy come from? Like, man, I done seen it. You're gonna do this. Just keep grinding, keep putting patch me. I'm like, oh, you know exactly what I need to hear, because I'm about to tap out. And that would be that. Keep going. Like, okay, do the work. Trust the process. He put you on this path for a purpose. He already know what everything needs to be to get this where it truly needs to go.
That's it. That's it. I was gonna say, like, the perfect name, middle ground, right? And that ties in back to, so the name of this broadcast, this show is Middle Ground, which ties into what I was talking about, with the two poets facing each other, and there's a middle ground in between. So even in your initial concepts, that's some powerful messaging right there. That's some powerful branding,
Yeah.
You have to be able to be resilient. And no one talks about resiliency,
Man,
no one talks.
Bro, you keep preaching this. You couldn't told me I'd be doing all the stuff I'm doing by being obedient. Well, I learned, a friend told me years ago, but I wouldn't listen. I wasn't trying to hear God talk to you. But to actually be in it and going through the process, like, I ain't even conceived this.
Correct. And I always say God has a sense of humor.
Oh, bro, man.
Listen, what would you do? What would you do if you were the sovereign being, omnipotent, omniscient, and you have 8 billion people on the spinning ball of mud in this cosmos, and you there twiddling your thumb, wondering, what are they going to do next? And what do if you're God? You tell them the plan. You tell them the steps to get there. And then you watch as they deviate and do everything but. Look at you laughing. Look at you laughing. You know
right.
God, that's what God thinks. He's like, well, we're gonna do this. Here's how you get from being poor to being successful. Has nothing to do with money, has to do with your purpose and your service to others.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how you maintain your environment. It's not about being greedy and trying to kill all the seals and all the whales. It's about being sustainable and being considerate. Right? Here are the steps to long life. And now let's see what choices you make.
Yeah, because I was a month or two ago. I was doing an episode, and that conversation in '02 came back to me like someone just threw that memory in my head. Like, whoa, we argue all night. He had got saved. He was really tapped in, and I know when I hear that phone ring, like, man, I ain't trying to hit it. Man, we just having a good night. I hear the God phone ringing. Why? We having a good night. Now he really wants you to start being more obedient and following like your dad was pastor. I tell him, God, over to the left, bro. I did my job. No, you need to do more, and it's gonna branch off to other stuff. I want to do like,
yep.
I just want to do music. I want to do other stuff. When you be obedient, man, I'm telling you, you're gonna be doing all this stuff, and I'm sitting like, wow. I straight argued him down like, no, I want to do that. I ain't doing it. He got me doing it through this. Like, well, he ain't really actually doing ministry, help people find their purpose. Because he's so smart, he dumb. He ain't paying attention like that.
Come on now.
And when I did, I'm like, he got me.
Correct.
He got me to do it.
Correct. And even like I have tons of atheist friends, right? And that doesn't bother me at all, right? Some folks will be like, you're a Christian, why you have atheist friends? Or why you have so many atheist friends? Can't you convert them? No. Y'all missing the point of the Bible. The point of the Bible is to love God above all else and love your neighbor as yourself.
Absolutely. Top two.
We didn't wake up as Christians. We didn't wake up as vegetarians.
Nope.
We kind of woke up as Black people, but that's another separate topic. But a lot of our philosophies and mentalities and mindsets, we didn't wake up like that. We had to grow into it based on our environment, based on our parents, based on our culture. And everyone experiences 5 different crises in their life. And one of them is a crisis of faith. Yeah. What do you believe? And if you feel like you've reached a spot where you have the correct belief, quote unquote, and you know the truth of the universe, it's even more on you as a responsibility to embrace others who have not gotten there as yet, quote unquote. And that's the way it is. I always say I stopped defending God a long time ago. I think, hear me out. I think if someone made gravity, they can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Hey, I used to tell people all the time, God don't need a salesman. He is what he is. You believe or you don't, that's your choice.
There you go.
But when you look at your life and keep in mind, there's power in the tongue, breathe life and death. So what you say has gotten you to where you are right now. So you said, I just want just a decent car, somewhere to live, this, and I'm good. You are where you spoke yourself to be.
Correct. That's
you can speak more and keep going forward, or I ain't never going to mountain, I ain't going to do that. You are where you keep speaking over yourself.
Listen, words are so important. And that's why I'm such a huge advocate of the poetry and the self-expression and the journaling, structured journaling, right? Because if you could say what you want to happen and it happens, why wouldn't you? Right? If you have the ability to say, I want to write a haiku today, the same way you'll say, I want to have chicken tonight, and you go and purchase the chicken and you take steps to organize your meal and your time. And the same way you can say, I want to write for 15 minutes. I want to pray for 15 minutes. I want to read a good educational, knowledgeable book for 15 minutes. The same mindset. The whole left brain, right brain, if you're an artist, you're not good with money. And if you're good with money, you can't be an artist. out the window.
Mm-hmm.
You can be everything.
Yeah.
To certain degrees, you can be everything.
That's true. Faith that works is dead. You still got to put work behind it.
Come on now.
And got to do the rest. You
Mm-hmm.
ain't gonna sit there and in 2 seconds like you make popcorn. You're awesome. No, you got to work at that.
Yep. Yep.
That's something people forget. You got to work at it. And you might have people, man, you working too hard. Why you keep doing that? Don't listen. Keep working. Because when you get there, man, you started way back then. Like you got this big company. Can I get a job? Now you need to stay humble because you might want to say, "Oh, I remember y'all was saying this." I should throw. No, I ain't gonna throw no rock. I'm staying humble.
Patience. Come on now. Always choose the high road. It's a lonely
You don't want to say, but you said I couldn't. No, I don't do that. Vengeance is the Lord. Don't do that. They didn't see what God showed you.
Correct.
Give them grace.
I always say one of the things I want to do is bullying in school, right? This might seem unrelated, but bullying in school is not about the bully. It's not about the victim. It's about the 20 students who watch it and do nothing.
Good point.
Right? So that mentality is what you have to always adjust.
Mm-hmm.
The bully has issues. The victim has issues. But the 20 people, the 20 kids who are watching and say nothing and do nothing, super sus, as the young people would say. And the same thing in the corporate world, right? A toxic work environment only happens when it is enabled by management and by the front office or the front staff, or by the lay folks. That's the only way it could work. Because if one manager is toxic and the other managers check him or her, that solves it. If one coworker is toxic and a coworker or a group of coworkers check him or her, that solves it. Mm-hmm. But in order for these kinds of cultures to exist, the bullying mentality, the mean mentality, the disrespectful mentality, we have to co-sign it. Mm-hmm. And that's another reason why I chose the name The Right Warrior, because I'm not co-signing anything.
Okay. I'm with you with that one because I didn't like bullies either when I was in school.
Facts.
No, I came from the old school where they were told you if they doing something to you, you had a right to defend yourself. We're back in. And now you have constant. Oh my God, no, that's not binding. That is self-preservation. If someone walks up to you in school and they're putting their hands on you, they don't have no right to do that. You tell them to stop and they keep going. Tell the teacher. Teacher supposed to make them stop. If they just feel they're going to keep impeding on you, you have the right to defuse them.
Come on now. Like again, growing up with different mentalities, right? When someone would grab someone's backpack off their shoulders, that's a whole violation. That's a whole violation.
Yeah.
You didn't write
a whole lot with that action.
Come on now. Yeah, lunches
you declare as Bugs Bunny used to do. You declare war.
Come on now.
I'm slapping like you want to fight.
Come on now.
I'm not man of my manners. You're gonna grab my book bag that my mom and daddy bought and take it off me for what? Just to prove that I'm tough.
Listen, David took care of Goliath with 3 little stones.
Mm-hmm. And some people think meekness is weakness. No, it ain't.
Correct.
Maybe the first one to lay you out. You got a lot of that going on, unfortunately. They don't need to do it. Now, which one would you say gives you more joy when you do poetry or book writing?
Definitely poetry. Okay. Definitely poetry. I'm a performance poet. Like awesome. I live and breathe on the stage.
Okay.
I've never met a mic that I don't like.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So for me, and growing up, one of my skills was freestyling.
Okay.
being able to tap into the truths of the universe and tell a story, you know, and that understanding went with me wherever I go. So even in boardrooms, even in meetings, people try to trap me in conversations or based on email chains and so forth. I wasn't worried about none of that. You know what I'm saying? A, my work is too thorough. And B, I can see it coming from a mile away. And of course, C, come on now, the truth always wins. And so
that's true.
Poetry, I think, is always going to be a thing for me because I understand the value of it. God is a poet. You know, when he said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Yeah.
And then when he made man, he breathed life into man. So he put his words into us, into our DNA. So now we are basically walking words.
Right.
Right. So that's always part of it. And the book publishing, again, they're equal, they're just different. You know, like folks always say, what's the opposite of love? And most folks tend to say hate. Hate is not the opposite of love. Indifference is the opposite of love. Because hate and love are basically similar. You know, when you have an argument with your spouse or when you look at your favorite basketball team, you know, you love them when they're winning. And if they miss the last shot, it just turns to hate so quick. It's just like it was right there because they're part of the same line. You know, love and hate is right there. You know, but indifference, that apathy, right?
You're right about that.
That something that says, you know what? Frankly, it doesn't matter. And live or die doesn't matter. And I think to harken back to when the incident with George Floyd happened, I think the biggest egregious part of that and what really affected the nation, it wasn't per se the cop who had his neck in a hold.
Yeah.
And it wasn't per se the people who different degrees of interaction were trying to, you know, figure out and talk and say, point out different things. It was kind of the cop who was just with his back turned to the situation.
Man.
And he was just deliberately ignoring, but just facing forward.
Hands in pocket doing it. Like, wow.
Correct. So that indifference is usually the problem in our society. You can hate something a lot and you'll care about it enough to keep track of it, to follow it, to see what it's doing, you know, and if you love something, you'll do the same. But when you're indifferent, that's when we need to have a talking time.
Yeah. And people forget Jesus hung out with everybody.
Come on now.
And when he needed to be strong, he laid hands on the den of thieves in the church and kicked them out.
Turn the table upside down.
Real person. You should follow my father. No, he wasn't that dude. He was a strong man.
Listen, the church needs a revival. This is a whole nother segue, right? But we grew up, and how I grew up in the Caribbean church with the Holy Ghost and the Holy Spirit and the Pentecostalism. And then I went to a Catholic college, St. Thomas University, here in Miami, Florida.
Okay.
So I got both sides of the religious doctrines, right? And both sides actually portray the Christ, Yahweh, Yeshua, in the same manner, you know. And even the other religions that have Jesus as just a prophet and not necessarily the returned Son of God, even in their religion, Jesus was a militant youth. He was a militant man. When he was 9, he escaped his parents' custody and was grilling and having huge conversations with the learned men at those times in the temple to where his parents could not find him. People forgot about that.
Yeah, they're like, how he know all this? He's too young.
Come on now. People forgot that he was the one who not only was he able to understand the situation and read it properly and make a move accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he was in the garden, after he was praying with his disciples, and he just got betrayed by Judas Iscariot.
Mm-hmm.
And the Roman soldiers came and they were going to take them away. And one of the disciples, I believe it was Paul or Peter, pulled a knife and chopped off an ear. And Jesus said, hold on now. Hold on now. This is not what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is not what we're doing. And people don't understand. In that moment, the Roman legionnaires, who were the toughest on the planet at that time, they could have done anything they wanted to do. But this man, who historically existed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just that alone should be sufficient, was able to calm the situation, diffuse everything, and let's not forget, put the air back on and just stitch it up real quick.
Man, that would have had me like, leave that cat alone.
Yeah, come on now.
His ear is bleeding with blood on the floor. He just picked it up, blew it off, and it's back on his. Nah, I'm good. I quit. I ain't down with it.
Next mission.
I ain't messing with that
guy. and you see, so for me, that is part of my core philosophy as a Christian, you know, and part of it is also being Christafari, which means, you know, Rastafari, which is for me the elements of eating healthy and letting the hair grow and, you know, trying to pay attention to how you understand the nature and the values. And at the same time, understanding that the faith that we have is a practical faith, right? That's fundamentally what it is. And all of the different denominations, and from Catholicism to Protestantism, our faith is a practical faith. So if something doesn't make sense, then you have to question it.
You ain't lying about that, brother. You ain't lying about that at all. Now, we reached the point of the show where time to promote and market what you have coming up.
Oh, come on now. Let's get to it. So first of all, I call this my journaling bundle, right? So you have Inner Sanctum, Protecting My Peace Through Poetry, which is 30 poems about life, society, faith, the universe, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, momhood, womanhood, and of course, the individual. Then you have my first book, which is Pivot, which also exists as a audiobook through Audible and on the iPhone store, I believe. You can find it on Spotify. Myself narrating my poetry memoir. And then this hefty 250-page journaling guide, which is basically, if you want to organize your thoughts and structure your journaling and your writing practices. And as you can see on the back, there's a simple message on here. It just says write. Okay, that's how we start the process. No more talking, no more long story, just write. Because in order to get where we need to get to, you're going to have to write something. You're going to have to write a business plan, or you have to write a dream board or your goals. And so upcoming, every Saturday, we do a Saturday writing sprint and poetry prompt session, just for an hour, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. PST. And we just get together, collaborating, safe space just to write. You do your own project, do your own thing, but just know we're there and support. And then we do authors showcases every Friday. And I'm going to have you up soon enough, every Friday at 6 p.m. EST, 3 p.m. PST. And basically, it's an interview between myself and another author. And we talk about the book publishing journey, the storytelling, the writing aspect of it, the motivation behind the book. You know, and sometimes on LinkedIn, sometimes on Twitter, sometimes on Instagram. As a matter of fact, we just had Mark Tuggle, who wrote a book called Cultural Silence and, I forgot the title. But it's an amazing book about Black men's health. And so we were just on Twitter space with him, talking about his book to a little audience and just getting the concept and the reason behind the book and his publishing style and technique. And that's what it's about, sharing information. And of course, we have a wide range of different writing packages. And when I say packages, I hate the word packages, but I don't know how else to put it. You know, If you want to have a journaling mentor, for example, you tap in with me. We do a daily check-in via text message, and we meet twice a week for 15 minutes just to do an assessment. We do before that, we do a personal development plan, which you outline what you want to work on. So do you want to get better at handling your work conversations? Do you want to get better at understanding your motivations? Are you trying to enhance your career? What are you trying to work on? Better poetry, you're trying to work on a story. And then we build a plan just to address that. And we touch base every day. We meet by a video call. And basically it's a hand-in-hand conversation, a hand-in-hand progress. Because I realized a lot of times I did my book project by myself, quote unquote, but I had my family with me, right? So my daughter helped design my book cover. She's a graphic designer.
Okay.
My wife was my editor, so reviewed everything. And wives don't have a problem telling their husbands when something doesn't look good or doesn't make sense.
No, they do not.
That was how I had the support I needed internally, but a lot of folks don't. And so what we try to do is provide that support so that no one feels like they are alone in this process. Okay, you shouldn't be.
Nah. No one deserves to be alone at all. Anything else you got coming up?
Repeat?
Anything else you got coming up?
Oh, yeah. You don't want me to take up the whole show just listing off stuff. So on the 31st of May, I'll be doing a expose of all my books on Twitter. I'm going to try to multi-stream it using StreamYard or Restream across all the platforms. I'm going to be an in-depth expose on my 3 books and my writing journey so far, kind of like an update. I'm also preparing for a one-man poetry exhibition show.
Nice.
It's going to be available as a virtual poetry event. The tickets will be up on Eventbrite. So working on the details for that. I just finished actually my set for the first 45 minutes. So I think I might just have it as 45 minutes just for this outing, and just to get my feet wet and just have folks just come in and see how a real poet does it. Okay. Not just any other poets. I'm just saying everyone is a poet, but performance poetry, there's levels to it.
I believe you.
Right. And other than that, in June, and this is part of the business aspect, what we do is, what I realize is, and every entrepreneur should know this, and this is where scaling comes into place. Wherever you are in your business, if you require clients or customers, you should always know the limit that you can handle with your current ecosystem. So my limit, I know, is 5. Once I have 5 authors I'm working with, I'm done. I'm tapped out. I can't work with anyone else emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially. I'm good. No, thank you. You can't pay me to get another person in my docket, right? Okay. So what we do is every month we do a pod, right? Mm-hmm. So in June, we're going to have another writer's pod again. So if someone wants to publish a book or get their manuscript off the ground, get it started, you can join a pod. The June pod is open still. I just need the maximum 5 folks to work with. And what we do is we work together, but at the same time, everyone has their individual aspects that they're working on. Cool. And we meet once a week just so we can share notes. And someone want to have a question that not just from myself, but from fellow writers. So you have like a small community of folks who are trying to publish within this year, and that's your cohort, so to speak. That's your graduating class when it comes to it. Awesome. And always looking for clients. So if you know someone who wants to have a business plan or do a personal SWOT, we do all that.
SWOT.
Come on now, fun time.
My last business class, like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The SWOT saved my life. The SWOT saved my life.
That threat, yeah.
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yep.
If you don't have that on lock in your business and in your personal life, I don't know what to tell you. I honestly don't know what to tell you. You need Jesus at that point.
You're right.
All the time. But
business, you got to do that. And it makes sense. Make sure what you're doing is going to work for you.
Come on now.
You understand the risk, what you're doing. Because some people get an idea and they ready to go, jump like, oh, did you look at the list of stuff you got to think about? Because it's there. That's why they have a business model.
When you have your business plan, you put your SOPs in the business plan. When you have a personal development plan, you put your personal SWOT analysis in your personal development plan.
Absolutely.
Because trust me, if you don't do it for yourself, someone's going to do it for you. Or they're already doing it on your behalf. You don't even know. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, we have church tonight because, someone has assessed who you are in their life, and you pay attention to their action, they kind of telling you.
Ooh.
Without telling you. If you pay
Come
attention.
Come on now.
And you need to step back and read the wording on the wall. Like, okay, I need to fall back from you because everything you showing is ain't trying to bother with me.
Fall all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
Fall so far back, you got to change your zip code. Come on now.
Sometimes God might be doing it because he needs you to focus on what you should be doing.
Yep, there you go.
Now, what has been your biggest challenge on your journey?
Time, but not time as in time management, but understanding I have to space things out.
Okay.
Like I wanted to launch my podcast since last year, but it wasn't ready. The concept wasn't ready. The business infrastructure wasn't ready to support it, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's why we end up doing the authors showcase, because it's low key, the structure of the podcast, but without the intensive work and preparation and promo design and video editing and so forth. You know, I see you smiling because let me tell you something.
Man, you preaching, brother.
Let me tell y'all something. We need to show more love to our content creators. Okay? True. Because this thing that people understand is social media, right? Mm-hmm. 15 years ago, the only entertainment you had was from a TV studio or a radio station where they had one person did editing, one person did writing, one person did the cutting, one person did the film design and the photography and the camera angles, okay? You had a whole 50 people making your favorite episode of Dukes of Hazzards or Night Rider.
Classic. You're right, boy. You're right.
Or the Puff Girls, okay? Now, man, let me tell you something. If you have a team of 3 people, not counting yourself, you are blessed and highly favored.
Man, you preaching, brother.
Listen. So the content creation, and I'm a huge fan of sustainable content creation. You are the content. Like, I'm going to post what I do, and I do not care how boring other people might think it is. The point is, it's what I do. If I'm writing calligraphy, or if I'm making a poem, if I'm talking about editing, I'm going to put that as my content. What I'm not going to do is get a ton of props and go up on the roof and just do backflips, when that's not me. That's not my regular function or job. You know what I'm saying? Man. So shout out to all the content creators, because y'all be doing the most with the little that you have, and it'd be impressive. We'll be watching all kind of stuff all day on YouTube and the shorts and the reels and the TikTok, but it takes work and effort.
Before I got home, I've sponsored my third mom mental health fair that's tomorrow. I'm gonna put the flyer up later, and I dropped some water off, and she was just running down like, I've been watching all the stuff you're doing, like, because I forget what I'm doing, like, you know, I do forget you did make this out of nothing, just researching, lean on God, getting it out to mud. And when you do the show, you're doing the editing, you create everything to put it on Spotify, so episode count, so then you make it real so people can put that everywhere, so you get a snippet like, oh, let's go check this. You are blessed when you got a team.
Come on now.
You blessed. You look up, it's 4:00 in the morning. Like, hey, I've been doing. Well, I'm almost done. Let me get done. We grind it out. That shout out to all the creatives out here, man, because that's a journey.
Ooh. Yeah. So that is my greatest challenge. Understanding that I can only do so much in a given time. If I want to do more, I'm going to have to scale. I already use some automation. I'm going to have to include more automation into my systems, and eventually some more virtual remote assistants, to expand the outreach, the communication, the scheduling, the video production, the client intake, because right now I'm very particular, and it's so funny when you scale, you can't afford to be particular. It's like everyone comes in and you got to have a system in place that say, okay, do we need this? Do we meet this criteria? Are we compatible? Now I can just eyeball it and say right away in 2 seconds, yeah, I'm not going to work with you. Yeah, your speed is not my speed. We are not meant for this moment and this time. You are the one. Yes, I'm going to make every effort to tap in with you and stay connected, and we are going to work together. But at some point you have to let go.
Yeah.
And let the system, let God take over, and just let it do what it do. If you want to scale,
the best invention is that calendar app.
Come on now, listen.
I was doing this, getting out the mud. I'm like, I'm doing Monday to Friday. I was doing 5 shows a day because I ain't got in at 7 o'clock. Like, yes, you do. Are you okay to go an hour earlier? You okay to go an hour earlier? You got 5 shows. Like, yeah, I gave my word, and it's the brand, so the brand word got to stand. So we're going back to back to back.
Listen,
I get some coaching. Like, you need to figure out you are a TV show now. So what days you want your program to come on? Like, I ain't realized podcast TV.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this over and over again. Jeffrey, you are the one who opened my eyes to using the Calendly scheduler for the podcast guest interview setup.
Oh man, it's the greatest.
Here's how
on paper, bro. It's not. It ain't.
Come on now. So here's how communication works and conversations, right? I already had Calendly. I was already using it for my one-on-one client intake and onboarding process, right? It never occurred to me to make the leap to connect my podcast author showcase, the guest scheduling, to show up on particular days on when I have availability as a separate system, right? And then as soon as you mentioned it, you sent me the link to be on yours, and I'm like, this makes the most sense since sliced bread. Why did I not make the connection? And sometimes that's all it takes. Just talking.
Come on, put me on game, man.
Come on now.
And they show me how to make it infinite so you can go to any month instead of just up to 2 months. Like, oh, you can go up to the December phone. Like, yeah, just go ahead, click that. Like, oh, this is great.
There you go. Come on now.
If you want to take a day off for yourself, like, I got enough content. I'm taking this weekend off. I'll put some good reruns on. I'm going to get some me time.
There you go. Come on now.
It's awesome.
And the cool thing is, too, and that's why that was my greatest investment so far. Well, that are my ISBNs. But that was fantastic because even if you're talking to someone and they're like, oh, I like what you do, or let's connect, or I might need your services later on, like in person, just say, okay, I'm going to send you a link and you choose the best time for us to talk. As easy as that. So instead of you trying to play phone tag with someone and say, call me after 6.
Yeah.
Anything can happen after 6.
That's true. Then you get that alert, like, okay, so I know this. Because, I mean, I had to start learning, okay, well, if you send this out, you probably would have an assistant that will send out a response for Friday, Saturday. So you need to come up with this thing. That what you're going to, universal, that you just copy and paste. Appreciate you for doing it. Woo, this how it go. Boom, bam. If you want to let them know, this is the link to the YouTube channel. That's a lot of stuff you be doing, brother. And somebody say, Jeff, you look like you just
now.
Conductor. Like, do you know how much getting out the mud I was doing? I appreciate you. I'm just a conductor now, but yeah, it was a lot like, man, what the world I'm going to do to make this make more sense? Try this. Oh, thank you. I'm going to do that. Struggle, the life of a creator, man. It's awesome and hilarious sometimes.
Come on now.
Now,
And all we're doing, go ahead.
now you go ahead.
No, I was going to
What you
say,
got?
all we're doing is putting up a little video, but yet the big man upstairs, he made the whole world and the universe. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. Put it like that. What I'm doing is like that much. Now, in your words, what has been your impact in the community?
Awareness.
Okay.
We are breaking down all the bars, the barriers that the gatekeepers have installed.
Yeah.
The folks who are out there talking about publish your book with us for 10K. We're going to keep your rights and royalties, and you still got to buy the books on your own. The folks who have those fake anthologies where you have to pay to write your book with them and still pay to buy your own copies. The folks who talk about a month is all it takes, and you have a bestseller on your hand, you know, or down with that. So me bringing the awareness, either through audio rooms on different apps, through talking to different young aspiring authors, young writers, making content that makes sense. What is a developmental editor is my new series. I'm going to drop that maybe next week.
Okay.
I have
Awesome.
8 videos breaking down what developmental editing is.
Awesome.
You know, so folks understand what you're looking for, and you might be your own developmental editor. That's cool. It'll be less work for me to try to coach or train you into what to do if you do it for yourself. You know, then you could just say, hey, I just want you to design my book cover. I'm like, bet. Here's how much it costs. Here's when you get it back. Let's do a meeting. What the visuals you're looking for.
Okay.
I'm done. On to the next client or next subject,
Nice.
you know. So I think my biggest impact has been the awareness of what is possible with today's technology, with the resources we have, with the ability we have to tell a story and go from a piece of paper to a book. Just from taking your time and planning it out.
That's impressive. It really is. And every time I've published 3 for, and everyone I've done, when it's done, like, wow, I'm more reflective of just the words you chose. Wow, someone's gonna get something from it. And then you do get that feedback that what you were trying to put in words, people that read it got it. That's pretty cool.
There we go. It's all about writing. It's all about doing things the right way and the wrong way, you know, and sometimes the right way is the best way.
Yeah. Now, time for that Yoda game. What advice do you have for someone trying to find their purpose?
Ooh, talk to God about it. Talk to God about it, because you'll realize that your purpose is clear. And you might have some hang-ups, some hesitations about it because you want to be a Jonah. You can be Jonah if you want to, but talk to God about it. He'll show you a purpose and he'll show you the way. End of story.
We do that too. We definitely do that a lot too, unfortunately. Well, how did you enjoy the show?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's been great fun connecting with you. You know, I already apologize because I've been missing, even with my Calendly. I'll be like, why is that popping up as a reminder? And I look through my email. I'm like, I don't see anything. Nothing in my calendar. And then I'm like, oh, wait. Uh-oh. So I appreciate your patience and for the invite.
Oh, no,
being on the middle ground for sure has been fantastic. And I like the way that we have the ability to connect and share a simple message, right? Jesus Christ is King, and treat others with love and kindness. And if you have a story, tell your story however you want to. It's your story to tell.
Now, I live by my tagline where we treat you like family, felt comfortable, relaxed. Awesome. Well, I when I get everything put up, I'm gonna put it on social media so they can, in the links to go to your books, they can get that as well.
There you go. There you go. And just wherever you tag me, once I have an account, I'm gonna tag you back. If you want to collab, use the collab option, so you can be on my page too. Oh yeah, I'm tapping in.
Awesome. I'm down for that.
Because listen, you did all the hard work. I'm just reposting and resharing. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I had to figure out that camera because people that would guess early on, and I got 4 seasons of audio from Anchor I got to put on my YouTube channel. A lot of great interviews. But they would have a look, I'm like, dang, that's look dope. Like, when you do that, go to Canva. What's that Canva?
Yeah,
you can make your own flyers. Like, okay, we got to learn something new.
Come on now.
Like,
don't be afraid to
okay.
listen.
All right, I got you. We're going to figure something out. You know, I'm a smidget competitive. Like, I'm a little nice in these streets.
Come on now.
Something that you're going to recognize. Like, oh, that's Jeff. He's doing it. All right, cool. Dope. All right. Well, we definitely want to thank Gospel Poet, Business and Creative Writing Services, The Right Warrior, Dwight Thompson for sharing his story, and all the wisdom that came from it. Go get his stuff. I'm going to have links for it once I post it on my social media, how to get to it. It's good stuff you want to check out.
That's what I'm talking about.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers this weekend.
To all the single moms, y'all are the true heroes of our society and culture. It's not your fault. Whatever support you didn't have, you made it work. And we thank you and we are grateful for you because of that.
Absolutely. Ain't no better than that. Check out the sports show in about 30-some minutes. Have a good one, everybody.
Salute.
Detroit raised me. Detroit.